Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever just looked in the mirror and felt absolutely 100% certain about who's looking back at you? Like, yep, that's me, that's who I am. We all do it. But what if the person you consider to be you is really just a temporary visitor in your own mind? Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating psychological reality. We're going to unpack the architecture of a fluid identity, and we'll uncover the actual science and the philosophy behind why you are, literally right now, constantly becoming someone else. Okay, so let's just jump right into a thought that might honestly shake up your whole day. Ready? The person you will become in 10 years might completely disagree with who you are today. Seriously, your sense of humor, your deepest fears, your biggest goals, even your core values are quietly transforming as we speak. The you of today might look at the you of tomorrow and actually get into a heated argument with them. And yet, and here is the crazy paradox of human nature. Despite the fact that we are constantly in motion, changing day by day, somehow, we humans still walk around believing we finally become our real selves. We hit a certain age, or we settle into a specific mindset, and we just confidently declare to the world, well, this is just who I am. We lock it in. It's almost like we think we've finally crossed the finish line of our own personality.
I mean, think about how this plays out in real life. We completely falsely assume that our current world is permanent. That indie band you're absolutely obsessed with right now, you think you're going to love them forever? Those deeply held beliefs that you would literally argue over at family dinners, you feel like they're totally immovable. We cling to our daily habits and routines, we just assume our core personality traits are fixed, and we sketch out these very definite future plans based entirely on what today's version of us wants. We naturally, but totally incorrectly, view all these current preferences as our permanent, fixed identity.
But hold on to that feeling of absolute certainty for a second, because it is about to be fundamentally challenged. Psychology has actually discovered something incredibly strange about how our brains perceive time and how we perceive ourselves. It's essentially a glitch in human consciousness, and pretty much all of us are trapped by it.
Psychologists actually have a name for this glitch. It's called the end of history illusion. It's this fascinating psychological phenomenon where we recognize that we've changed massively in the past, right? But then we falsely believe we're going to change very little in the future. It's literally the reason why we pay good money to expertly laser off the exact same tattoos we paid good money to get 10 years ago. It means that your perception of a final self right now is just a trick your brain is playing on you. You easily acknowledge your personal history, but you mistakenly believe that your history is just ended. The really crucial point here lies in this stark contradiction between how we view our past self and our future self. On one hand, we openly acknowledge our past self has changed massively. We look back and literally cringe at our embarrassing old opinions or those highly questionable fashion choices from college. But your future self? Oh, we falsely believe that future person is going to remain exactly the same as today. We just assume they'll naturally share all of our current values. When you really think about it, it is completely illogical.
Let's actually map this out on a timeline to put it into perspective. Think back to 10 years ago. The embarrassing opinions, the deeply dramatic things you used to worry about. Now, jump to 5 years ago. Those former dreams, old relationships, the people you swore you'd be with forever. Now look at today. You likely have this complete, rock-solid confidence in who I am. Yet, project 10 years out into the future, and you just assume you'll be completely unchanged. That person from 10 years ago probably feels like a total stranger to you right now, right? Well, statistically speaking, today's version of you is going to feel exactly the same way to your future self. And hey, this isn't just some quirky psychological illusion either. There is hard biological science behind why this happens. Enter neuroplasticity. Basically, this is the brain's ability to physically rewire and reorganize its synaptic connections in response to learning, new experiences, or your environment. So your identity isn't just psychologically fluid. Your brain is physically constantly rewiring itself in real time. You are quite literally not the same biological machine you were last year. So, what's actually driving all this rewiring? Well, it's literally everything happening to you right now. Every single new lived experience. Life trauma and the profound healing that follows it. Shifting relationships. The crazy peaks of success and the deep valleys of failure. Stepping into new environments. Just the natural biological aging process and even the subtle cultural shifts happening around you every day. All of these cumulative triggers literally guarantee that your personality is changing as you sit here watching this explainer.
It actually brings to mind this absolutely brilliant metaphor. You are like a river pretending to be a statue. Just let the poetic weight of that sink in for a second. You feel solid, right? You feel permanent. But underneath the surface,
You are this continuous flow of water, constantly moving, constantly carving entirely new paths.
Now, we do have to acknowledge that stepping out of that statue mindset and realizing you are the river, it can be emotionally uncomfortable. Becoming another person means losing old passions without even noticing when they faded away. It's the quiet, gradual shifting of your core values over time. It's that kind of melancholic but highly relatable feeling of quietly outgrowing close friendships. It might mean becoming naturally calmer as you age, or perhaps more anxious. It's the subtle altering of your political or philosophical beliefs. Outgrowing past versions of yourself brings up this strange, sometimes lonely emotional discomfort, but I promise you, it is entirely natural.
Which brings us to a pretty profound crossroads. If your mind keeps physically rewiring itself, and your values just keep shifting through every single season of your life, which version is the real you? Seriously, is it the you from 5 years ago, the you of today, or the you 10 years from now?
But here's the thing, and I actually find this incredibly liberating. What if identity was never meant to be fixed in the first place? What if the anxiety we feel about changing, or the guilt we have over outgrowing our old selves, is entirely misplaced? What if this constant state of flux isn't a flaw in your character, but the very design of human consciousness?
So ask yourself, are you a finished character or an unfolding story? A finished character implies this fixed, permanent destination of identity with totally unchanging traits, exactly like a statue. But an unfolding story, that is a continuous, dynamic process of consciousness that is always adapting to the world. Humans are not permanent statues. You are an ongoing, unfolding, beautiful process.
I want you to really focus on this next thought. Think about the exact person you are right at this very second. The person watching this explainer right now.
Will eventually disappear. Just let that sit for a moment. It sounds stark, right? Maybe even a little bit haunting. But the you that exists today, with your current worries, your current absolute certainties, your current perspectives, is just a beautiful, temporary iteration. The inevitable cycle of outgrowing who we are will eventually claim today's version of you, just exactly like it claimed the you from a decade ago.
But you know what? That has always been true. And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway from our deep dive today. Maybe growth isn't about finally becoming your final self. Maybe it's about learning how to let yourself keep changing. The disappearance of your old self isn't a tragedy. It is honestly the most hopeful and scientifically miraculous part of being human.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to carry with you the rest of the day. If you are not a statue, but a river, if the current you is really just one chapter in a much longer, unfolding story, who do you think your future self will become? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this today. Embrace the change, keep learning, and I'll catch you in our next explainer.